I don't know how to feel about the level 100 thing. A lot of people have been talking about it. We have new information, like official information, that has come from like Hoyoverse in China, at least. I also want to bring up this poll that I made real quick, which is, I just wanted to like get the sentiment from people on what they thought about, the level 100 thing. A lot of sentiment that it's like just for whales. Like obviously it's just for people who have wished a lot. And yeah, whales that wish a lot, but so have long-term players. But it also is weird because just because you're a long-term player doesn't mean you're going to be able to get level 95 and 100 characters. It kind of depends on how your RNG went over like years of playing the game for, getting C6 standard banner characters. Oh, you know what? I guess for anyone not aware, something I should mention is like how do you level 100 your characters, right? The only way is if you have a C6 5-star character, and this includes the standard banner characters, and that's the primary source therefore. When you get C7 of the character, you get a resource called Masterless Star Glitter, and one Masterless Star Glitter will take a level 90 character up to level 95. And with this, it seems to be that there is no increase in talent levels, and it is just a increase in base stats and then an increase in like base reaction damage. So that's primarily for transformative reactions. So anyways, that's just one cost from going from 90 to 95. So if I got a C7 Kaching, right? But then to go to level 100, you need 2 more. So you need a total of 3 to go to 100 from level 90. And the damage increase from level 95 to 100 is about the same as the damage increase from level 90 to 95, which kind of means that it's more efficient to use these things if you're able to get them on leveling multiple units to level 95 rather than leveling one unit to level 100. But also I kind of feel, as I've been thinking it over, that like it's such a high like barrier to entry to like acquire these things in the first place, like that if you have them, I kind of feel like you just use them on your favorite character. But like on a meta level, Raiden is one of the best units to use them on right now, from going from level 90 to 100 on Raiden for the Hyperbloom damage, because you get like a 40% increase in Hyperbloom damage, which is a massive team DPS increase. And it's like that just makes like the conversation weird for like how we discuss team archetypes too, because like just having Raiden C0, everyone cannot universally get, level 100 Raiden, obviously. If you've only been playing the game for 2 years, which is crazy, like only 2 years. But if you've only been playing the game for 2 years, like you're probably nowhere close. Well, I shouldn't say nowhere close. Like it's worth mentioning if you got like a C3 of like, we'll go back to Kaching. Let's say you have C3 Kaching, you've been playing it for 2 years. With the standard banner selector, you could choose a free Kaching, and then the constellation selector thing, you could choose another Kaching. You'd be at C5. You lose one 50-50 to Kaching or a standard banner Kaching, whatever. And now you're at C6, and then any further Kachings get you the resource level 95 and 100 in the future. It's still like, there's not a very clear, obvious, guaranteed path to get this resource in the future, unless you are currently like at C4, C5 of a standard banner character. So if you're at C5 Kaching right now, you can select a free C6 Kaching, and then you could select, with the little like grinding mechanism for getting a free constellation, select a C7 Kaching, then you get one resource, and you can level 95 whatever character. By the way, my account, like the number of characters I have, I'm not a free-to-play player. My standard characters, I have C6 Mona, and I have C6 Kaching, and then I have C4 Diluc, C4 Chi-Chi. I do not have Mizuki at all because she's new. C4 Jean, and I will soon have C6 Dia because I am going to intentionally pull for C6 Dia. I started playing the game a little over 3 years ago, so relative to like a free-to-play player from day one who is like, logged in probably 95% plus of days, I would say what am I? This is just a vibe. I don't know exactly how many wishes I've done, right? But I would guess that I have wished more than a free-to-play player has since version 1.0. But I think I have wished less than a player playing since 1.0 that was like buying Battle Pass and Welkins, because those add up a lot over multiple years. So the chance that I get, the resource from just losing 50-50s in the future is a little bit under a 50% chance. I think I'm going to be able to level 100 with like one character per year. And that would, or level 95 3 characters per year is my vibe. I could be completely wrong on that though. That's to say, like, this is a very, very limited currency. And the main thing I actually dislike, and I think this is something that is a similar vibe I have seen when going through, you know, like the poll results and going through other discussion threads about people's thoughts on this, is that you can use this resource, that, you know, the resource you get from getting C7 plus of 5-star characters. It's used for any character that's level 90, including 4 stars. And like, I really like min-maxing particular 4-star characters. Like, I really enjoy Lanyan, and I would consider level 100 Lanyan. Like, Lanyan is not the only one on her team doing damage, so getting like a 10% DPS increase for her to go to 100 with a resource that you get from 5-star dupes, I don't know. Like, I really, really, really wish this system was implemented in a way where getting level 100 of 4 stars was much easier than getting level 100 of 5 stars, being that 4 stars tend to be obviously less strong than 4 stars. Than 5 stars. Stupid brain. And like why, like, I think the obvious thing would be, why can there not be a system where there's a different star glitter whatever resource? Like, you know, when you get C25 Bennett, you know, that can convert to a resource specifically for 4-star characters, so that I could use that resource to level 95, level 100 my Lanyan. Like, it feels a little bit bad. Although I do acknowledge that, like, for me, for example, I think it would be better to level 100 Sethos than Raiden. I don't feel like getting into the full nuance of that, but, like, you know, like Sethos gains about as much as like Raiden gains functionally, and if not more potentially. And Raiden is like kind of the unit, in my opinion, we're talking about right now as far as gets the most obvious damage increase for from a meta perspective, at least. Like, literally, Hyperbloom Raiden teams with version 6.0, if you can level 100 Raiden and you get Lauma, is going from, I think, like 80k DPS to over 120,000 DPS. Like, it's literally taking like Raiden to, LOL, she is basically Moika level, but as a Hyperbloom trigger. Sorry. And I mean, you could do Hybrid Raiden, you know. Maybe you can get this on Chronicle Banner. I'm probably not going to make another Hybrid Raiden video again, but level 100 Raiden is tempting to me for Hybrid Raiden. But anyways, yappity yap. The point is, level 100 to me is something I don't inherently hate because I'm a min-maxer. And I really like it from the potential of being able to use it for characters that are a little bit less powerful. Like, I don't really care about the idea of using it on Moika or using it on Skirk that much, because, like, yay, a 10% DPS increase for a character that's already super strong. I would personally rather use a 10% increase on Dia, and I am strongly considering that right now, because on 6.0 release on my account, I got lucky enough in this last year. I actually lost 2 50/50s to Kaching, so I'm functionally at C8 Kaching, and they said that they're going to give Masterless Star Glitter tracking for all of your wishing on your account history. So I'm going to be able to log in on 6.0 and get 2 Masterless Star Glitter, and I just need 1 more and I can get a level 100 Dia. Again, that's not the smartest use. I am considering whether or not I want to do that or use it on Sethos, unironically, because I think Sethos might become a straight up, he goes from a good character to a straight up monster at level 100 is my vibe right now. But I don't know, we'll see. Things could change on release, so that, you know, maybe the information we have is actually not real. Back to this poll. In many levels, because of the fact that so many players just can't access it, it's just a thing that exists in the game, that I think the most optimistic perspective in many ways is that it's just nothing. It's just nothing to most people. It could become a bad thing if there ends up being content that is balanced around the fact that now, you know, C0 Raiden Hyperbloom can be 120k DPS, right? If they start balancing, you know, Stygian Onslaught, whatever, around the existence of a 120k DPS Hyperbloom team, that feels like crap, right? It's a good thing from the perspective of, like, you know, more ways to, like, increase Dia's damage is cool, I guess. And then there's information we don't know for sure. So, you know, this is the last option here of, like, don't know how to feel. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. But I'm personally leaning more towards either this, but also a little bit of waffling between these two options is my personal vibe. Oh yeah, there's one funny aspect, of course, with this that I think is one of the positive aspects of this, of the fact that, like, this is another thing that makes there actually be a positive aspect over time of losing your 50/50s, where, like, you know, people that have had too good of 50/50 luck in the past, like, couple of years of playing the game, if you have a 75% win rate, you know, you are much farther away from being able to get things. I see a lot of people, by the way, that are like assuming that they are farther away from being able to level 95 a character than they actually are. Like this person has C4 Tignari. That means they could get to C6 Tignari next patch, right? Because you can get 2 copies of a standard character for free. And then if they lose any 50/50s to Tignari in the future, or next year come another anniversary selector thing, right? They can get a Masterless Star Glitter. So like in the worst case, this player is technically 1 year away from a level 95 character. They might be significantly farther away and more RNG dependent from a level 100 character. And I don't know, right? So like it's just interesting how like it's this super like long-term timeline. You can make some specific decisions on trying to get level 95 or 100 characters. And how we actually talk about this as like as a community, or how does this affect how you know we evaluate characters' performance levels at C0? It's just gonna be another thing that is unrelatable at the end of the day. And what I mean by that is like there's multiple paths to high investment things, right? You can get 5-star weapons. You can spend way too much resin on artifacts, right? Getting really good builds that is like not very comparable to other players that have spent much less resin. That is high investment. Getting 5-star weapons is high investment. Getting constellations, and this is a standard character, but you know, getting limited character constellations is unrelatable. Yada yada. So like these are all different forms of high investment things, and level 95 and level 100 is just another high investment thing, right? And it's not necessarily relegated to whales. It is relegated to people who have played the game for a long time at bare minimum. Like, I don't know. It's just weird. This is just kind of the weirdest possible implementation of going past level 90 I think they could have done. And I don't know. It's concerning in many ways. Like, there was originally a rumor last year that level 100 was going to be a thing. And the resource for it was going to be given by completing Abyss with 36 stars. And boy, would that have been the preferred reality, no? By the way, this is the data that is apparently from the official CN Hoyoverse. If you want to see this breakdown on, so this is specifically the damage increase from level 90 to 100. Again, the way it seems to have been set up from them is that the damage increase from 90 to 95 is equivalent from the damage increase from 95 to 100. So, for example, basically pretty much every character is getting approximately a 10% damage increase. The important thing always to keep in mind as far as like if you care about what the actual damage increase is, you need to ask, you know, what percentage of the team's damage is actually being dealt by the character that you're considering level 100. So someone like Arlecchino or Moika are doing most of the team's damage, so a 10% damage increase for them, which by the way is much more significant than the increase from level 80 to 90 is like, I believe, a 3%-ish. I might be wrong on that, don't quote me. Increase for them. And like it's like if you play them a lot, it's worth it doing that. But like, you know, there's a reason a lot of people leave their characters at level 80. But so the point is going from 90 to 100 is fairly significantly higher than going from 80 to 90. You get more of a base stat increase, and then you also get the defense multiplier increase. I appreciate that, you know, direct lunar charge scaling does not gain a disproportionately higher amount. There's also interesting nuance, like if you level 100 Bennett, he gets an additional 50 to 60 attack from his buff, which is like a 1 to 2% overall damage increase. But that's, you know, if you level 100 Bennett, you're getting a 1 to 2% damage increase for many characters. Whereas if you level 100 one on-field DPS, you know, it's a 10% DPS increase for them, but it's only them, right? So it's like, would you like a 1 to 2% damage increase for 50% of the characters' main DPSs in the game? Well, not 50%. Honestly, at this point, Bennett is kind of being pushed out a lot of teams because they're doing like hyper-specific character kits that don't actually use Bennett anymore oftentimes, so it's kind of more complicated than that. But anyways, like, I don't think it necessarily I'm not going to level 100 my Bennett. I don't care. I think it's worth acknowledging that as part of the conversation. So, yada yada. Like, this is an important table to understand where, like, the baseline is, like, 10-ish% increase, which is fairly substantial in Genshin terms. Transformative reactions, though, from 90 to 100 get a 40% damage increase. This is humongous. This is where, like, the Raiden Hyperbloom conversation comes in and what I mentioned with Sethos earlier. In conjunction with the fact that they increased the base scaling of these reactions last year is pretty significant. And then, of course, there's whatever new reactions they might come out with other than, like, lunar charged. You also get the bonus from aggravate and spread. So Sethos is someone who's doing a bunch of aggravate damage, and he can be used to trigger a bunch of blooms. One of my favorite Sethos teams I'm playing right now is with Anefa and Singcho, and he's doing a lot of hyper bloom damage. So, you know, you get the point. I really kind of want to have a level 100 Sethos because he's probably going to be substantial. He's already a strong character. I would argue that when played well, Sethos is kind of the best aggravate DPS in the game, for an on-fielder at least. This probably takes him to the level of maybe absurdity. But anywho's, if you want to have like comfort for playstyle, for like transformative reaction shenanigans, you level Raiden to 100 instead, because she's an off-fielder. Sethos has to be on-field, but yada yada, there's nuance to things. I'm personally more inclined towards Sethos. Many other players will be more inclined towards Raiden because their name's the Jeff77 and they're really boring people. Sorry. Look, I gotta swipe at Zajef when I have an opportunity to. I don't know that Zajef is actually gonna have any of these resources to level 100 a character, but I'm willing to bet he is going to level 100 Raiden. And that's boring. Just saying. But if you want to do it, I don't care. It's your freaking account. It's a freaking mostly single player experience. And even if it's not a single player experience, it's not like competitive. So it doesn't freaking matter. Like I've seen some people actually complaining about like, pay to win in game, and it's like, pay to win what? We're not competing. Like yes, level 100 might be the difference to like help you get dire difficulty cleared, maybe, or it might clear, you know, fearless difficulty, but like realistically, I don't know, if you get 3 of these things, you level 95 3 units, that will potentially help you. That's like potentially 3 DPS units that can go from 90 to 95, and that increases your team's damage significantly. That will maybe help you clear fearless or dire difficulty. And like we get more re-rollers. Ooh, big deal. Like especially considering they're increasing the sources for like re-rollers that you're getting. Like I don't know, if you really want the weapon skins, maybe it matters to you that but like come on, I don't know. Like for some people, this existing will put them over the threshold for being able to like clear dire difficulty sometimes. Maybe it's probably not going, because they're not consistently available unless you have everyone C6 already, probably every standard banner C6, you know. You're probably not going to get such a significant damage increase for your characters that it's gonna make you consistently clear every dire difficulty unless you're spending money. Like I don't think this is gonna fundamentally change much, most likely, but there is the worry and potential for them to change the balance of content in the game around the existence of level 95 and 100. I did have an initial negative reaction to when they revealed it, because like, come on, they were like, ooh, look, an additional resource for getting a C7 character. And look, this is how you level 100 your characters. And that just, like, it just feels bad. I think it feels really bad, especially for someone like me, who I like to min-max my characters. But now, like, I'm just not going to be able to, like, I'm never going to be able to truly min-max Skirk, technically. Because even though I like Skirk a lot, I'm not going to feel like Skirk is the #1 priority for me. And same thing with, like, Lanyan. It pains me that, like, I can't just, like, level 100 Lanyan. I don't like the current balance and implementation of this, and I feel like my initial negative reaction and many people's initial negative reactions to this implementation are very justified. But at the end of the day, for the people who care about the combat, it probably just doesn't really fundamentally change much, most likely. But it depends. And that's kind of been the state of Genshin for a long time. Anyways, it just kind of depends. We'll see, right? We'll see if they add content that makes this truly problematic, but a 40% damage, it's just gonna be awkward, you know, if you see someone having a level 100 Raiden. That is like a team that will perform differently on a fundamental level, and it's like, in many ways, it's like it's simultaneously not going to be as unrelatable as having C2 Raiden. Like C2 Raiden is a bigger damage increase for like a crit DPS Raiden than level 100 is. But level 100 Raiden will be a much bigger increase than C2 Raiden is for Hyperbloom Raiden. So, like, you're gonna have to understand the video game and its mechanics to be able to properly interpret what you're seeing. And if you don't have that knowledge to understand what you're seeing and know that, like, when level 100 matters, which most people aren't, right? Most people don't understand the game's mechanics well enough. Oh, it's 4 a.m. I'm recording at 4 a.m. This is my brain, it's fine. Like, I don't know, you get the point. Honestly, I think That's it for my yap. I don't have much else to say. I don't really ultimately know how to feel. I don't think you should either, because it doesn't exist yet, and I don't think we're going to see the true ramifications, if they have any real ramifications past just it's a thing that exists for a limited number of players to do some to have some fun with, right? Like, I think I will enjoy being able to have a level 95 100 dia in Sethos if I continue with that plan of mine. And I am inclined that these resources are rare enough. You just say F it and use them on your favorite character, or whatever, or you can save them when you encounter a dire difficulty where you're just missing that last 10% of DPS you need, yada yada, right? Like, you can save them for meta utility, but the concern I have for like using them on a meta level is like they've been power creeping, right? And like I'm kind of scared of the idea of using them on Raiden for just Hyper Bloom trigger, when it is not going to be hard for them to release a unit that is just better than Raiden as a Hyper Bloom trigger. And then it feels really bad that you used a very limited resource on Raiden to level 100 her. So I don't know, maybe I guess like what I would like to see is if they like let you undo the level 100 and just like refund the material. Maybe that'd be an acceptable change. Once per patch, you can undo your level 100 and then level 100 someone else, right? Maybe that would be cool with how limited this resource is. I don't know. There's ways to implement this in a way that I think is better than they have done. And I don't know. I don't feel happy about it, but I also don't hate it. I don't know. I don't know how to feel.